They're counting on you never noticing this. The moment you enter an airport, sitting at the gate, walking past shops, even plugging your phone into a charging station, you stop being just a traveler and you become data, with nothing you see being accidental, as the lighting, the carpets, the long winding walkways, even where you're forced to wait, are carefully designed to exploit fatigue, confusion, and stress, especially in older travelers, and in 2026, these tactics are more precise than ever. So today, I'm exposing 12 secrets the travel industry doesn't want senior travelers to understand, revealing how these environments quietly influence your spending, your decisions, and your comfort, all while hiding the truth in plain sight. So stay with me because once you see what's really happening, you'll never walk through an airport the same way again. Starting with number 12, the relaxation trap. Have you ever noticed how the area near your boarding gate feels different from the rest of the terminal, with the lighting dimmed, the ceilings lower, and the floors covered in unusually plush, expensive carpeting? And while most people think this is for their comfort, it's actually a calculated psychological anchor, as airport planners discovered that when passengers are forced into a relaxed state, their impulse control weakens and they spend nearly 10% more in duty-free stores. And for seniors, this manipulation hits harder because travel fatigue naturally lowers your mental defenses, meaning that cozy seating area isn't designed for your rest at all. It's engineered to make your credit card feel lighter in your pocket, so before you sink into those chairs, make a mental list of what you actually need, because that just looking around habit is exactly what they are counting on to fund their expansion. Which brings us to number 11, the Golden Walk scam, where you aren't navigating a poorly planned building but are instead being herded through what insiders call the Golden Walk. And notice how you never seem to walk in a straight line from security to your gate, as every twist, every unnecessary detour, and every zigzag is a deliberate retail strategy, because by forcing you past the maximum number of storefronts, airports generate billions in revenue from exhausted travelers, and for a senior with aching knees, these extra steps aren't just an inconvenience, they are a physical tax designed by retail psychologists. So study your airport's terminal map before you arrive, as most major hubs have shorter employee corridors or bypass lanes that you can access simply by politely asking the ground crew for the most direct path, and don't let them dictate your footsteps. Leading us to number 10, the automated labyrinth, where once your suitcase vanishes behind the check-in counter, it enters a completely automated world where human oversight is a relic of the past. In 2026, the machines run everything and they don't have feelings, so if an old baggage sticker from your last vacation still clings to your handle, it acts as a data ghost, meaning a scanner might pick up the wrong barcode and suddenly your life-saving medication is on a flight to Tokyo while you're headed to Tampa. And this isn't just a mistake, it's a failure of a system that prioritizes speed over accuracy, so always photograph your luggage before you hand it over, and even better, hide a GPS tracker deep inside, as I've seen countless travelers use their own phones to force airlines to find bags that the airline claimed didn't exist. Which brings us to number 9, the altitude nutrition mystery, where airlines plan their menus up to a year in advance, and every ingredient is a cost-cutting battleground, with one major carrier famously saving $40,000 a year just by removing a single olive from each salad. But here is the real trap, your taste perception plummets by 30% at cruising altitude, and to compensate for the blandness, airlines load their meals with excessive sodium and sugar, which for a senior traveler creates a genuine health risk, as extra salt triggers swelling, severe dehydration, and dangerous blood pressure spikes during a 10-hour flight. Don't rely on their processed survival kits. Instead, pack your own low-sodium snacks like unsalted almonds or homemade trail mix and control your intake because the airline only cares about the bottom line, not your blood pressure. Which brings us to number 8, the chemical hand swab, where TSA agents rarely explain what's actually happening when they ask to wipe your hands with that small white cloth, as it's not about hygiene but rather those machines hunting for trace chemicals associated with explosives. And here's the problem. Innocent residue from gardening fertilizer, certain hand lotions, or even striking a match can trigger a false positive, and in the high-stress environment of a 2026 checkpoint, this can lead to an intrusive secondary screening that ruins your day. So wash your hands thoroughly before you enter the security line and skip the heavy lotions that morning to avoid giving a machine a reason to flag you for a crime you didn't commit, leading us to number 6, the hidden lounge access, where airlines want you to believe that airport lounges are reserved for the elite and million-mile flyers because they want you to stay in the noisy gate areas with rock-hard seating as it keeps you close to the shops. But in 2026, the lounge wall is crumbling, as many airports now sell day passes for less than the cost of a mediocre airport meal, and even more surprisingly, many credit cards, some with 0 annual fees, unlock completely free access. So before your next trip, call your card issuer because you might already be entitled to a peaceful environment, complimentary coffee, and even a shower. Stop suffering in the terminal and start claiming the benefits you've already paid for through your interest rates and fees, which brings us to number 5, the juice-jacking threat, where those public USB charging stations are a trap disguised as a convenience, as cybercriminals love them because they can hide malicious software inside the port itself, and the second you connect your phone, your data, including banking apps and medical records, becomes vulnerable, which is called juice jacking, and for a senior traveler, this is a massive security risk, so use only standard wall outlets with your own personal charger, and if you must use a public USB port, protect yourself with a USB data blocker, a tiny adapter that blocks the data pins while allowing power to flow, because in the digital age, a free charge is never truly free, leading us to number 4, the schedule padding illusion, where you might have landed 20 minutes early and felt a wave of relief thinking the airline did a great job, but you are being manipulated, as airlines intentionally pad their flight schedules by adding extra time to their estimates, so if a flight takes 2 hours, they tell you it takes 2.5, and this way, even if they are genuinely delayed, they still appear on time in their performance statistics, which is a trick to manipulate customer satisfaction metrics and avoid government fines for delays, meaning for you, a punctual flight might actually be a slow one, so don't let their fake efficiency dictate your connecting flight choices, which brings us to number 3, the captive market markup. Once you pass security, your options vanish and you are in what economists call a captive market, which is why a simple bottle of water costs $6 and a sandwich is priced like a luxury steak, as airports know you are hungry, exhausted, and have nowhere else to go, and for anyone on a fixed income, these markups are predatory, so the strategy is simple. Pack a modest snack kit before you leave home, as a granola bar or a homemade sandwich can save you $20 and spare you the aggravation of being overcharged for basic survival, which brings us to number 2, the ghost flight reality, where you might have boarded a nearly empty aircraft and wondered why the airline is even bothering to fly it, and these are ghost flights, as airlines operate them solely to retain their valuable takeoff and landing slots at major hubs, because if they don't fly the route, they lose the slot, and while it's environmentally questionable and wasteful, for you it's an opportunity, as nearly empty flights mean more space, quieter cabins, and better service, so if you find yourself on a ghost flight, use the extra space to your advantage by moving to a row where you can stretch out, as the airline is flying for the slot and you might as well fly for the comfort, leading us to number 1, decoding the boarding pass, where your boarding pass is a personal navigation tool yet most people only look at the seat number, but the codes on that paper reveal the true nature of your trip, as the 2-letter code identifies your carrier, but the single letter of your fare class, Y, J, or F, tells the crew exactly how much you paid and what level of service you are entitled to. In 2026, understanding these codes can help you manage tight connections and navigate the terminal faster, as seats near the front, typically rows 8 to 12, not only board faster but deplane quicker, and in a world of tight logistics, being in the right row is the difference between making your connection and being stranded at the gate. So remember that flying in 2026 is a journey through a landscape of invisible influence, but when you understand the architecture of manipulation, you stop being a victim of the airport and start being an operator of your own experience, because you've earned the right to travel without being exploited, and I want to hear your story, so tell me which of these airport traps have you fallen for, was it the $6 water or the long winding walk through the duty-free maze, and drop a comment below because I read every single one and your experience might save another traveler from the same fate, and if these secrets change the way you view your next trip, hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of smart travelers, as our next video exposes the secret tricks airlines use to manipulate their frequent flyer programs, and you won't want to miss it. So safe travels and fly smarter, not harder.